Kentucky's great outdoors on ESPN 1027 FM. Brought to you by Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating and Cooling and Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center with your host Brian Webb. Also starring John Kirby and Sergeant J.D. Williams from Mohawk Outdoors, Josh Honeycutt from Realtree Outdoors. Also made possible by Swagger Bipods, the Van Store Bowling Green and Glasgow, your Can-Am headquarters, introducing Pabst Beef Jerky. Our national sponsor, Big & J Long Range Attractants. Segments in part by Rockcastle Shooting Center, The Rock, and Renegade Marine, featuring Realtree's Michael Pendley Timber 2 Table Wild Game Recipes. Made possible by Outback Steakhouse, Bowling Green, and all phone interviews via the Linex of Bowling Green hotline. Get ready for all things outdoors. Here's your host, Brian Webb.
I am Southern Kentucky Great Outdoors. I am your Spirit of the Wild, my brother. God bless America. God bless Kentucky. God bless working hard, playing hard American families in the asset column. We are blood brothers.
If that don't get you fired up, I don't know if there's any hope for you. Sitting to my left, Sergeant J.D. Williams. Right here, right now, Mohawk Outdoors, MohawkOutdoors.com. Just had a birthday, and he's still young and good looking. What's up, buddy?
Not a lot, man. Just trying not to feel old, you know.
I know, dude. Back in the day, it's like, my birthday's in like 3 weeks, man. I can't wait. And then you're like, nowadays, it's like, oh, no, it's my birthday.
Well, once you hit 30, you're not looking forward to your birthday every year anymore. It's just, God, I'm getting old.
Oh, my God. That is hilarious. Man, we got a great show tonight, JD. Kirby is on assignment tonight, and Honeycutt's going to be with us. Getting ready to get Penley going here shortly. The G-Man's going to get him on producing tonight. Got him in the studio. Always good to have Garrett with us. We had a good time last night with the Red Legs in here on the Sports Web. JD, we got while we're getting Penley on, let's tease up a couple of our guests tonight. We've got Jana Waller on. I'm excited about talking to this young lady. I mean, she does it all, doesn't she?
She's definitely a rock superstar. She's from my home state up in Montana. She does it all. She's hunted all over the world. Her show, a lot of you guys listening might know Skullbound TV on Sportsman's Channel. This chick is an absolute animal in the outdoors.
Yeah, look forward to talking to her for sure. You got it right here. It's is that wrong? We got you're going to talk to her. Josh Honeycutt in studio as well. Will Griffith coming up. Man, nutrition specialist. Basically, is he the science behind the Big and J, Josh?
The gut expert.
That's awesome. We had him on before, and it was pretty interesting. But I don't know. Were you here that night we had him on the last time? I'd love to hear something.
I'm not sure.
I don't think you were here that night. So I can look forward to both of you guys talking to him about Big and J, which is one of our great sponsors here on the show. Pabst Beef Jerky, new sponsor, guys. I hope we get our beef jerky because I am absolutely addicted to it. I don't know about you.
It's working.
Go ahead. Is it working? All right.
Yeah.
Radio check over.
check one, check two, check baby 1 2. You got Penley on the Linex hotline?
Yeah.
Man, let's get the guy in here. Brought to you by Outback Steakhouse. Delivering now in Bowling Green. Got a little bit of a radius there, but you probably going to fall into it because it's a pretty nice size radius, and they got a lot of stuff going on right now. For instance, don't forget when Kevin Harvick finishes in the top 10, and it happens a lot, guys. I mean, I don't know. It happens a lot. He's pretty good at it. It's Bloomin' Monday, so you can grab a free Bloomin' Onion. But right now they got some Bloomified starting at $13.99. Signature Bloom seasoning, spicing up your favorites to try to, well, first of all, let's just steak, fries, and beer for $10.99. I mean, we should just go straight to that, JD. I mean,
I'll tell you what, we went and ate there the other day, and it was phenomenal. Like, that Bloomin' Onion is awesome. And I've never had one until just recently.
They're so good. I'll tell you what's better, though, is, and I don't know this, Josh knows this for a fact because he's been able to do that, but you put something Michael Pendley makes, and you put it on a fork or eat it with your hand. I mean, I would just eat it with my hand. I'd be loving it so much. It's going to be perfect. Timber to table, Realtree. What's up, Pendley, on the Linex hotline?
What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. We're just chilling. Honeycutt's here, JD, and myself. Man, I just shared something that looked like some kind of stew with some bread, and I'm starving now. What was that?
That a Czechoslovakian-style goulash. A buddy brought back the recipe. He went over there with his family last year, and he talked about the architecture. You know, he talked about the history, but he really talked about the food. And he brought that recipe home with him, and we kind of adapted it to use it with venison. Of course, venison, you know, there's a little less fat in it than the beef or pork that they traditionally used for it. So we added a little extra fat in some other forms, and it turned out really nice. And something I'd never had before. Apparently, it's pretty traditional over there to make boiled bread dumplings. And, you know, these are basically small loaves of bread. And instead of baking them, you boil them in salted water. And then you slice them. And the inside texture, it's kind of like a cross between white bread and a traditional dumpling like we would have, like chicken and dumplings. It's got a little bit more air in it than a standard dumpling you'd see over here. And, we made a batch of those and served with it. It's a pretty good meal. But what I want to talk to you about today is a catfish recipe.
Yum. Got the double.
We did some of our, we try to make a trip every year with the kids and family, and we go down there and we noodle with some buddies. And we went this last weekend, and so I kind of got catfish on the mind.
Yeah.
And last Friday we posted up a good summertime recipe for blackened catfish, and you can do it with any fish that you want to. But we make a good seasoning blend. It's based off Chef Paul's original blackening seasoning recipe, but I've tweaked it a little bit for what the family here likes. And you basically, you do it outside, because if you do it inside, it's going to fill up your kitchen with smoke.
I'd rather do it outside, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a perfect recipe for summertime, because you're not heating up the kitchen and you're not filling it full of smoke, and you're not making it smell like fried fish and all that. So we just use a camp stove outside and an iron skillet. When you put that iron skillet on the camp stove, turn it on high and just leave it alone. Don't put any oil in it or anything. Let it get super hot. We let it run on high for probably 10 minutes before we start cooking. And then all you've got to do is melt some butter in the dish and take your fish fillet and dip it in that melted butter, and then dip it in your blackening seasoning, coat it on both sides pretty well, and drop it in that super hot skillet. And it takes like 2 minutes per side to cook. You don't want it to burn. You want to get it dark. It gets its name blackening because it's got a dark texture on the finish. But 2 minutes per side is plenty for even a good-sized catfish fillet. And it's a perfect summertime recipe. Serve that with a little lemon to squeeze over it, and maybe some rice or something like that. You're good to go.
I think Michaela's the best noodler out of all of you, man.
Oh, let me tell you a story. So, we all kind of team up on these catfish holes. Some of them are pretty deep, and sometimes you got to root around in there for a while and make several attempts to get a hold of the fish. Because a lot of times they'll go into these holes and they'll turn their head away from you. Some of these fish have played the game before, They know exactly what's going on. So when they feel you coming down in there, they burrow down into the deepest, darkest portion of their hole they can find, kind of bury their head up, and makes it tough to reach them. So, usually it takes a little while. When you get started on one, you tag team it. Everybody takes turns going down and fishing around for a while. So we get to the very first spot, and we're in 3 boats. We're separated into 3 different boats, pretty good-sized group of us. And we get to the first spot, and the first boat kind of unloads, and the second and third boat pull in, and we kind of unload, and we're kind of going up to the spot, and she's there first in the first boat. And she'd already decided that she was going first of the 3 of them, both boys and her. So she goes under, takes a deep breath and goes under. We're still walking up to the hole, wading up through the hole, swimming to get there. She comes back up and says, yeah, there's a fish in there. And she takes a deep breath and goes immediately back down and comes back up just a second or two later. And we're like, well, and she's like, oh, I got him. and she's holding on to this 30-pound catfish at that point.
Man.
And all of us kind of jump in and help kind of get it under control after that. But by that point, she's already got it in a bear hug. She's holding on to the jaw with one hand, and she's got her other arm wrapped around this fish, holding a bear hug up against her body. And there was pretty much nothing for the rest of us to do after that. Got it under control.
I got a question, Michael. If I were to go noodling with you, you probably have to have legs or something. So I'm asking, like, if I were to submerge underwater, would you grab what's left of my legs and pull me back up when a big catfish latched onto me?
Maybe push you deeper down into the hole. Let you root around.
I don't think I'd be found again. I think I'd just be in that hole with the catfish.
You would just bob. You would just sit there and bob, JD. I mean, you'd work out fine, man, like a floater. You'd be like a floater.
You would, though, right, Michael?
Oh, yeah. We figured out one way or the other.
He would push you further down.
That would really happen, Josh. That's great. Oh, man, that's good stuff. What have you guys been doing besides cooking up those awesome morsels, brother, and noodling? Anything else going on up your way?
That's about it. We're checking cameras. Pyro's cleared out a couple spots. He mowed a little bit last weekend and freshened up some mineral licks and got a couple more cameras out. So he's starting to get into hunting mode, and it's still too hot for me.
Oh, it's hot, man.
I'm not quite ready to get out there and tackle it yet.
Hey, us big
he's
boys.
He's shooting his new bow every day.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about it. JD got him a new slinger today, new slingshot.
It looks good, too.
Yeah, I have a buddy up in Montana. He owns a shop called Mountaintop Archery, and this guy goes into the Missouri Breaks every year, and he's harvesting ginormous bull elk at like 80 to 100 yards with his bow, and kind of worked with each other, and we got him to where he's selling obsession bows now. And after last year, I missed the biggest bull elk of my life with my bow. I wanted to, every time I look at my old bow, I just have like those memories of missing that elk and everything. So I feel like it's cursed. So I'm getting a new bow, and it's the Obsession FX30. And nice. What I really like about this bow is it's got 30-inch axle-to-axle bow, so it's made for shooting out of a blind or a stand or something like that. It's just a lot easier. It's a little shorter, but it's a laser.
Yeah, those short axle-to-axle bows they're way easier to maneuver around. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. What do you shoot nowadays, Michael?
I'm still shooting an older new breed, Pyros, and to be honest with you, I might take Pyros old bear. It ain't old; it's just a couple years old.
There you go.
But since he upgraded to his new Hoyt, I might start shooting his bow now.
Yeah, it's like me. My kid drives a nicer car than I do.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I tell you what, Michael.
His last two bows have been nicer than mine.
You're tight like I am, Finley.
Maybe you ought to upgrade.
Yeah, keep encouraging him to upgrade.
I'll tell you what, like a lot of your mainline bows, like PSE and Hoyt and Bowtech and stuff like that, they're all coming out with these all kinds of great bows, Matthews. But a lot of these like unknown name brands or what, like Obsession or Elite, to me, they're some of the smoothest shooting bows I've ever shot in my life.
But I tell you, it's amazing. If you shoot a bow from, 10 or 12 years ago and then you pick up a new bow, it's amazing the technology, the way it's changed and how much smoother it is, how much faster they are.
Oh, yeah.
It's just unreal what they've done with them.
Yeah, I used to shoot a Martin, I think it was a Martin Phantom. And I don't even know, have you ever heard of a Martin, Michael?
Yeah, I had a Martin back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that bow company, but I do love everything that they make there too. But yeah, I'm real excited. I got a couple archery competitions coming up, and one of them's out at Rockcastle at the Carnivore Games. I'm pretty stoked about.
That's awesome.
I got my I ended up customizing one of my risers
You're looking at me. I'm not a bow hunter. You need to look at Josh Honeycutt.
I forgot the name of it. My mind went blank. Where your arrow rests on.
The rest.
The rest.
See, you did have it. You did have it. You said it.
Yeah, the rest. So I had it customized, and it says "No Mercy," and push it because I push my bow.
Push it real good. Oh, I love it. Penley, always a pleasure. Outback Steakhouse right here on Scottsville Road. taking care of us on the timber to table. Josh, you got anything for the big penalty before we move on?
Deuces.
He's like little James Dean or something, isn't he, Penley? Isn't he? That's good. I think we lost Penley already. Hey, folks, come right back. We're going to have Kentucky Fish and Wildlife Brad Bowles on. He's going to be talking crappie, and maybe we'll talk a little hunting with him, too. So don't go anywhere. Coming right back on Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors, ESPN Radio 102.7.
Hey, it's Nick Noble with the Rockcastle Gun Show here. We're talking about Swagger bipods. Do you want just your average barrel rest, or do you want to shoot with some swagger? Introducing the Swagger bipods. They expand your shooting zone with Swagger, the all-terrain hunting bipod. After more than 100 years, finally shooters have a bipod with patented, flexible, hyper-extending telescoping legs that give you the agility like never before. So get rid of stiff legs and get the bipod with infinite maneuverability. Swagger, the bipod that moves.
Rock the Boat 2019 with Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency at Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center. If boat dealerships were candidates, Renegade Marine's platform would sound like this. You deserve family time on a Regency. You have the right to a Nitro bass boat. Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center wants to see you on the water with a smile and a Sun Tracker. That's not what your old boat needs for repair. Get a new pontoon with time to spare. Rock the boat with Sun Tracker, Regency, and Nitro at Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center. 415 Commerce Drive in Litchfield. Online at renegademarine.net.
You're doing your best to build and grow your business, trying to reach as many prospective customers as possible and get them in your door. Lucky for you, I specialize in helping you do exactly that. I'm Sherry Clark, and for over 25 years, my focus has been helping businesses grow. I leverage the power and reach of radio, the deep connectivity of social media, and the on-demand convenience of online marketing to put you and your business in front of as many people as possible. How do you know my marketing advice works? Just talk to other business owners and managers in Southern Kentucky. For years, I've helped businesses like Studel Financial Services, Super Home Surplus, and United Furniture maximize their marketing dollars. And for as long as I've been helping businesses in Bowling Green, Kentucky Music has trusted me to guide their over-the-air marketing efforts. As your marketing consultant, my focus is on results for you. My advice is based on what's best for your business, not on a monthly quota. Your potential customers have a problem that you can help them solve, but they need to know your name, they need to know your story, and I'm here to help you tell it. I'm Sherry Clark, and I'd love to hear from you at sherryradiosales@gmail.com. Let's get together and tell your story.
So what's the deal with Big Green Egg Grills? Mike Keith here, letting you know if you're looking to grill, smoke, or bake on the highest quality grill out there, you need to see Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill. They have the Big Green Egg, #1 for over 25 years and with good reason. With a lifetime warranty and best-in-class ceramics, this thing is awesome. There are no chemicals in Big Green Egg Lump Charcoal. And Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill has the best price in town, just off the bridge on Old Louisville Road. BowlingGreenFireplace.com.
Need a bigger boat.
It's time to go fishing with Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center, 415 Commerce Drive, Litchfield, Kentucky, on SOKY's Great Outdoors.
Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center. Get up there and see John Newton and Sherb. And that puts you in a really nice party cruiser, or my favorite, big bass boat. I got to hang out in a big Ranger with Michael Bean a couple weeks ago. Man, that thing was like 70 miles an hour Honeycutt. That's moving on down the lake.
That's slow.
He probably got like a turbo prop on his little John boat. Panned out going out
some
there.
water boy flying down.
If it ain't reared, you ain't scared.
Just bite your teeth and hold on to something. He told me to reach over there in the old crap handle, and I grabbed it a few times. This guy right here probably gets on down the lake. I think he's got a Ranger track. Brad Bowles, Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources. Welcome back on the Line-X hotline, Brad.
Hey, buddy. What's going on?
Man, we just hanging out. Got J.D. Williams on the mic. Got Josh Honeycutt sitting over here. And Garrett behind the board, man. Where you at right now? Are you out of town fishing, or are you local?
No, I'm actually sitting in my boat in my boat garage. I've got some pretty exciting news for me today.
Well, let's hear
I
it.
had a delivery made in the driveway. I got a Garmin Live Scope, which anybody who's been paying attention to the fishing world and the fishing industry has seen the Garmin Live Scope and how it works, fish in real time, and I'm super excited about getting this thing installed on my boat. And I'm just out here trying to get a good game plan on where I'm going to mount it and look out, fish. That's all I got to
Man,
say.
you're like a kid on Christmas morning
Oh,
right now.
that's exactly what I texted a buddy of mine today, and I had a picture of the box in the driveway, and that's my words exactly. I said, I'm like a kid on Christmas Day.
Well, which one did you get, Brad? Did you get the 8612, or what'd you go with?
Well, actually, I got a 9-inch Garmin unit, the 93SV unit, but the Garmin LiveScope is actually the transducer that enables you to actually see the fish in real time. And there's some amazing YouTube videos out there where you can actually see the fish swimming on a brush pile, watch your jig drop down to them right in front of their face. They bite it, and you pull them, and you actually see the fish being pulled right up out of the water. So it's pretty amazing.
Do you think they might outlaw those for tournament fishing or no?
I don't think so. I think it's just another tool. You're going to see a lot of fish on it, but you're not always going to they're not always going to bite.
Well, don't catch them for you either. I mean, you still got to catch them.
That's right. It's just another tool. It's just amazing what they keep putting out with the entire outdoor industry. I know y'all were talking about bows earlier, and I'm sitting there going, a new obsession bow. By the way, JD, happy belated birthday, brother.
Hey, thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there going, man, I'd love to have a new bow, but then I'm like, crap, I just bought a fishing grab. I need to mow a bunch more yards is what I need.
Penny will let you have one.
I got a year-old Elite that I'll give you, Brad, just because I respect you so much.
Oh, you missed that, Brad. You hear what he said?
What'd he say?
I have a year-old Elite bow that I'll give you because I respect you so much.
Oh, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
JD's like Santa Claus.
I can hit the pink side of a yellow barn with it. That's the only thing. I love to bow hunt, and this early season is just unbelievable. And I want to talk fishing, but just on a bow hunt.
No, we can talk bow.
There are so many big deer that are being taken out during that first 2 weeks of the season. Those deer, and Josh can attest to this, man, you can just set your watch to them. As long as you don't disrupt them in those bachelor groups, man, it's just an awesome time if you can stand the heat to be out there and get in the woods. So
it's honestly my favorite time of the year now.
The corner.
I think it's better than the rut.
Well, I mean, you don't have to sit there and wonder where they're at or what they're doing. It's just a matter of waiting them out.
Yeah, that's true. And I prefer the early season over the rut. And personally, I've had way more success, at least in the last 4 to 5 years during the early season. Anyway, the rut's fun and all, and it's great to see the action that happens with it. But it's definitely for sure early season is the game for the prepared hunter, most definitely.
Well, you know me, I love to get out there and get my buck down on the ground so I can get back out on the water to fish. So that early season
I
works for me as
despise
well.
that statement.
Oh, man.
Wait a minute, there's real tree fishing, so you got to be into it.
Hunting. I know how you guys roll.
Go ahead, JD.
I will say this time of the year, I would give anything to be out on the water right now fishing. It's the most perfect weather right now for that.
Hey, Brad, did you hear he hooked a 300-pound shark?
No, I didn't hear that part. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we talked about that a week or two ago. He got back.
I was strapped to the fishing pole, Brad, and I thought I accidentally snagged a sunken ship in the bottom of the ocean because there was a guy holding my wheelchair, another guy holding me, and then me holding on for dear life of the fishing pole. And I almost blacked out a few times. It was definitely interesting.
Oh, my gosh, I can only imagine. Those saltwater fish, any of them, any species, they fight so much more than a freshwater fish. It's just unbelievable. But I can't imagine a shark that big, what kind of fight you had on your hands. Did you get him in or get him close?
We got him all the way up to the surface, and then the first mate on the boat ended up cutting a line.
No, JD pulled out a gun and shot it.
No, I did bring a gun just because I was afraid. My worst fear, and this is going all the way back to my childhood.
Somalian pirates.
I'm terrified of sharks, and
they're not my favorite.
This is my first deep sea fishing trip, so I packed a goodie bag. So if the ship went down, all I had to do is grab my goodie bag, and I feel like I'd be okay until somebody found me, or if I was lost at sea
You're
forever.
like Jonah in the belly of the whale.
But one of them
I
was
thought he
definitely.
was going to say he threw a fire extinguisher in its mouth and shot the fire.
Yeah. You're going to need a bigger
I never
boat.
thought of that one, Brad, but that's definitely going in my pack next year.
And then Richard Dreyfuss surfaces from nowhere. It's great. They paddle in. One of my favorite cinematic watching movies ever. Hey, man, I'm glad you got that. Are they catching some crappie? I mean, what's going on? Are you been bass fishing any? I know I'd probably answer that myself.
The few times I've been able to get out the past couple weeks, I'm still on those crappie. And, this time of year, it's the bass are the same way. You just kind of got to get a mindset. You're talking about fishing real early, or you're talking about fishing late in the afternoon and doing some night fishing. That's going to be your most productive. Heck, you can't stand it out there midday. You just got sweat just rolling off of you. But I'm still finding fish. You've got a thermocline that's set up on Barron now, so most of your fish aren't going to be any deeper than 15 feet. So anytime that I can use that to help me eliminate water, that's what I'm going to do. And, I talk about it all the time that in the spring of the year, that's the best time to do your scouting. And if you're scouting, it's kind of like hunting, If you're doing your scouting, you're going to know where to go and where to fish this time of year, because early in the spring, if you're long lining, pulling jigs, you can cover a lot of water. And I'm not only out there catching fish then, I'm scouting then. And as I go across brush piles on the edge of these flats, that's when I'm marking them on my graph. Now, that's going to be stuff I'm going to come back and fish this time of year, because those fish will typically be holding or relating to some kind of structure this time of year. Yeah. And a lot of times they're suspended above it.
Yeah.
So as I go into a brush pile, my first technique that I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch that jig out there and let it pendulum down into the brush pile or just above it. And a lot of times that'll get you a bite just right then, the most active fish. And then I'll just take my time and start working on up there and probing deeper down into the brush. Something, we've had a lot of storm fronts and stuff here recently. When those are coming through, those fish bury pretty deep in that brush. So then you've got to be willing to go down in there. And you're going to lose some jigs, but that's just what you got to do to be able to catch them. So they can still be caught.
Well, they don't cost as much.
They
don't cost as much as a crankbait, so that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Well, you can the crappie. You can pull some crankbaits this time of year still and catch some too.
That's fun. I've never caught one on a crankbait other than by accident. I've never fished for them. That's cool. And I've heard you talk about that before. Brad, real quick before we let you get out of here to play with your new toy, I wanted to say thanks for coming on. And I didn't know if you had an announcement, maybe from the department. And if not, I know one thing. Have you been able to locate some Pabst beef jerky? Because I know you like it, fueling your outdoor lifestyle, my man.
Man, I'm telling you, that's what I wanted to ask you. I've got to know where I can get some of that stuff. I've yet to find any. And that was some of the best beef jerky. But no, as far as announcements, everything right now, this is kind of a little bit of a lull. Everybody's aware of the new crossbow season. And, dove season's right around the corner.
Can't wait. You going to get me on a dove hunt? You and Honeycutt?
Man, I hope so. I hope we could get on a good shoot this year. It'd be fun. We need to do it.
I want to put him on the spot. What is one little-known deer hunting law or regulation that most guys out there may not be aware of?
I think one we run into the most that a lot of people aren't aware of is, or they just don't pay attention to it closely, is when you shoot your deer, before you move that thing, you're supposed to fill out your harvest log.
Exactly.
Simply not filling that out is a violation and something that you can be cited for. So, it's just something I always tell everybody, in addition to having your hunting license, always have an ink pen with you in the field. Fill out your harvest log before you move the animal.
Same thing with anything, right? Turkey, doesn't matter what you're harvesting. That's the case with all game animals, correct?
Yeah, especially with turkeys because, they're so easy to pack out. At least a deer, it's going to take you a little while. But the intent there, is to make sure that, to keep most people out there in the woods are honest. But let's be honest. If I see you out there and feel you've already got it in the truck and you're driving down the road, is that a person who's really going to take time to tail check that deer? So that harvest log shows that they have taken the time to, indicate the sex of the animal, the date of the harvest, and shows their good faith in tail checking that animal. And we want, everybody to do things the right way.
Brad, we want everybody to do them right, too, because what you guys do is absolute, fills so many voids, and it would be not the same for any hunter or fisherman woman out there if you guys didn't do what you did, and you get all that through hunting license and other things like that. You're not funded at all from the federal government, and I don't know, a lot of people don't realize that. But, man, we appreciate you. Always fun to have you on the show. 3 or 4 weeks, we have to get you back in here. And if you got anything going on, let us know. Just give us a call. We'll get you in right then, all right?
Man, that sounds great. I always enjoy talking with you guys. We're really blessed to live in the state that we do, to have the quality deer hunting, turkey hunting, and fishing that we have. And I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Amen, brother. We're glad you're a part of this show. Don't go anywhere, folks. Coming right back.
Thanks so much, Brad.
Yeah, guys, good talking to you.
You too, brother. Line X Hotline, we're going to have Jana Waller on. Can't wait. Skullbound TV. JD, tell us a little bit about her before we go to break here.
Well, she's a phenomenal hunter. She's very passionate in the outdoors. This girl lives, breathes nothing but hunting, and that's what something. Also a skull carver. She like does some of the most amazing things I've ever seen with a lot of your guys' mounts and stuff that you guys are animals that you guys want to have memories from, and she makes them become a reality, and she's just a phenomenal person.
Is she also a Montana native like yourself?
She is. She grew up in northern Montana hunting the Bob Marshall Wilderness. All
right. Well, don't go anywhere. We're coming back with the Rock Castle Shooting Center hunting segment, the Rock Castle Outfitters, baby. Find out more about that in the coming days. Don't go anywhere. Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors, ESPN Radio 102.7.
If your business needs to cool, chill, or freeze, or warm, heat, or cook, you know you can't afford to disappoint. That's why you call BG Refrigeration, because BG Refrigeration never disappoints. They satisfy any heating or cooling need your business may have. Factories, restaurants, malls, plants, big industrial warehouses, doesn't matter. BG Refrigeration is who you call. Commercial heating and ducts, AC maintenance and replacement, commercial refrigeration, restaurant equipment, cold storage warehouses. BG Refrigeration ensures your heating and cooling needs are met so your business doesn't suffer. Walk-in freezers, exhaust systems, pizza ovens, ice makers, whatever heats or cools. If it's restaurant related, BG Refrigeration is, by far, the best company in South Central Kentucky to service them. In fact, there are a few companies that can or will even try to do what BG Refrigeration does every day. They're the company that's called in for the big jobs that require more experience, that need to be done right the first time. Why would you trust your business's commercial heating and cooling needs to anyone else? Turn to the experts. Call BG Refrigeration at 270-782-5391, where your comfort is their concern.
Although hunting to most of us is much more than just harvesting animals, why not better your deer herd's health with Big & J Long Range Attractant? Big & J is highly digestible, high in protein, and isn't full of preservatives. With Big & J Long Range Attractants, you're not only exploiting one of the few weaknesses whitetails have, their stomachs, but you're maximizing antler growth, improving overall herd health, and pulling deer from your neighbor's property. So whether your goals are to fill the freezer, kill mature bucks, or both, Big & J Long Range Attractants will stack the odds in your favor, all the while making your deer herd bigger and healthier.
This is Nate from Rock Castle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rock Castle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rock Castle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
A car crash takes seconds to occur. Then what should take a great deal of time and research may only take a day. Sometimes the firm you hire does many things: bankruptcy, immigration, criminal defense. But would you hire a pediatrician to do your heart surgery? Of course not. Our firm is an open book, and our personal injury attorneys only handle one kind of case. Even if you hired the wrong firm, you can still fire them before it's too late. Injured? Dial Pound Law on your cell. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. Offices, Bowling Green.
And these Beverly Hills getting sorrier every day. Me and Duke went as far back in the brush as you could go. The only thing we flushed out was a couple of real estate agents.
It's time to do some hunting on SOKY's Great Outdoors, brought to you by Rock Castle Shooting Center at Park Mammoth Resort, 22850 Louisville Road in Park City, Kentucky.
Welcome back. Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors on the Line X Hotline. Line X Bedliners, Roger Gina over there, Louisville Road, Porter Pike intersection. Nothing protects your truck better than a Line X Bedliner. And there's not many females out there as good as this one. I'll tell you, if you don't know her, you've been under a rock. She's the host of Skullbound TV there on the Sportsman's Channel, and also does some cool things, painting and beating up some skulls. And as I've looked at some of her work today, and it's just amazing. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Miss Jana Waller.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to chit-chat a little bit today.
We're glad to have you. JD's here, Mohawk Outdoors, and Josh Honeycutt, Realtree Outdoors.
Nice.
JD, so happy to have you on. Appreciate this so much. Huge fan of yours, by the way.
It is my pleasure. What do you want to talk about today?
I wanted to talk about some of your preparations for hunting season. I've noticed, I'll take Wounded Warriors up to Montana and we'll do a hunt. And, if they're not getting ready for it, they're struggling up there because of the conditions. They're not used to the elevation. Just doing a 100-meter walk is putting some of these guys down, And, I just wanted to talk to you and see, what all you're doing to prepare for hunting season, because I know you're all over the place. You're hiking up and down these mountains. You're dragging bull elk, black bear. Heck, I saw where you shot a beautiful moose. What are you doing this time of the year to get ready for hunting season?
Yeah, well, I definitely train all year round. We a lot of people think of the fall as, the 3 months that you're really doing a lot of hunting, which it is, but there's a lot of hunting year-round, especially when you live in the western states. We mountain lion, coyote, wolf hunt in the winter. In the spring, like you said, we have spring bear season that lasts like almost 2 months. And so it's the summertime is almost the only little off time, which is a great preparation time for the fall season. I have a gym in my house, so it's really nice and easy for me because I live a good half hour outside of the city of Missoula. But I think it's important just to work the muscles that you're going to be using during that hunt. And it's not just your quads and your legs and your calves, which is what we think about when you come to hiking the mountains. But you're going to have on a heavy pack, and there's not a lot during most people's normal days that are going to work the back, the traps, the shoulders, the biceps for lifting. That I think one of the smartest things to do in the summer months before a big fall hunt or before a spring bear hunt, for example, especially if it's a do-it-yourself, pack-it-out style bear hunt, is to really work the muscles that you're going to be using with a heavy pack. I mean, some people might not even put that into consideration during their hunt is the pack out. You're often quartering up a humongous bull elk, or you're deboning a 300-pound bear, and you got to get that bear up out of the canyon. And while your quads might be in shape, your back, traps, shoulders are going to just kill if you're not used to that weight on your back.
I agree completely. There was, I remember I was hunting over, I grew up actually not too far from you. I used to live in Anaconda, Montana. And I remember there's this mountain called Tower Mountain over there, and my dad shot an elk up there. And the elk slid all the way down the backside of that mountain and luckily got hung up in some trees at the bottom end of the mountain. There was no roads or nothing, and we were having to cut out backstraps and quarter this thing. And I couldn't even pull a sled with 2 hind quarters in it back up the mountain. Yeah. It was so devastating. Yeah. But that's
a lot of times though. That's a multiple trip kind of hunt where you've got to go in. Hopefully cool enough during the evenings where that meat is going to stay fresh, and you got to go back in and get another load the next day. All of us here, Western hunters, get that phone call, and that typically if it's your buddy and they're calling you late at night, they're going to want you to go help with another pack out the next morning.
Yeah, that's one thing I loved about hunting up Montana is you'd always have a buddy that was on standby in case you did get an elk or something you needed help with.
Yep.
And another thing a lot of people, forget to take advantage of, they don't really stop and glass the environment that they're hunting in. And, what are some of your glassing tactics that you use up in Montana when you're hunting?
That's a good point. Good optics is so critical. A lot of the time we spend hunting, we're like bear or elk, we're walking into an area, and that's, of course, going to take up your time. But then you're sitting and glassing. You're peeling apart that hillside looking for, black fur. But probably the number one thing is, depending on when you're hunting, is what you're looking for. You're often looking for, in the shade under a tree, especially if it's, during the daylight hours. You're looking for, shaded, that north slope that's going to get a lot of shade. And, we're looking for, a lot of times deer and elk are going to create those beds up against something, like up against a tree or up on a little flat shelf.
Right.
So you're looking in areas like that. But it's really important, I think, to comb the area whether you take in a spotting scope or nowadays binoculars are so fantastic. I run the Vortex Furies, which are 12 power, and they work great.
Oh,
and you
wow.
pick apart, take your time. I think probably the number one mistake people make during glassing is they rush it. They
Right.
they look over a hillside and they keep going. You've got to be patient, be still, look in the shade, look in the north-facing slopes, and it's amazing once you're still for a while what can sort of just come to life.
Yeah, something that a lot of people do wrong when it comes to glassing is they'll move the optics and move their eyes at the same time. Move the optics to a certain location, keep them stationary, then move your eyeballs throughout that area. And when you've covered that area, move the glass on to the next spot adjacent to it. And that's something that even myself, I find myself getting back into that old bad habit from time to time.
Sometimes it's even better to glass from right to left because we're so used to reading from left to right. I remember going through sniper school. That was one of our things is, when we're picking out apart an area that we would, scan right from left because your tendency is to move a little slower than you would be looking from left to right as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the more you do it, the more you sort of train your brain of what to look for. When you're looking for a bull elk, and you can almost train your brain when you're looking through the timber to look for that blonde color. The bulls tend to be more blonde than the cows, and same thing with bears. I probably bear hunt more than any other. I know I bear hunt more than any other big game species if you added up the days in the course of a year with our spring and fall season. Plus, I travel every year up into Canada and do that hunt as well. This year I held a Montana tag, Idaho tag, and a Saskatchewan tag. And when you're glassing for bears, especially on a spot stock style hunt, you're literally, a lot of the hillsides you're looking at are covered with stumps, whether they're from old forest fires or just chopped off stumps, which is exactly what a bear looks like at 400 or 500 yards.
Yes.
And you just got to be patient and peel it apart. One of the biggest bears we ever shot on Scobo TV was actually cameraman Jimmy's bear that he literally spotted just the top of its hide, of its hair on the back, maybe 6 inches of hair he spotted, and he just said, doesn't that look like hair blowing in the wind? And we were probably 400 or 500 yards away from that bear, and it was bedded up on this little grassy knob, and because he was behind the hill, you couldn't really see him, just the top of him, and it looked like we just took a gamble, dropped off this steep ridge to get a little bit closer, and sure enough, it was a monster boar. But you just train your eyes in what to look for the more you're out there.
I seen one of the most unbelievable things on your show. I think you posted it last spring, but it was when you guys were bear hunting and you guys came across that grizzly sow and cubs, and there was a black bear down at the bottom of the mountain pretty much, and as soon as that grizzly caught wind of that black bear, it just come tearing down that mountain and chase that. I thought the black bear was done for.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. Actually, that was the craziest week of filming we have ever had. So 2 days prior to what you're talking about, which I'll go into, we filmed a mating pair of grizzlies right outside Missoula, Montana. Now, they're definitely, bears are very prevalent in Montana, black bears, but we also have a lot of grizzlies.
What rating did that episode get?
Grizzlies tend to stick
parental
in certain
rating?
areas, and near Missoula is not known to be a grizzly area, right outside Missoula. We happened to film a mating pair of grizzlies.
Wow.
Now, 2 days after that, we filmed, it was actually a blonde-faced black bear sow with a cub. She sees the black boar on the bottom of the hill, charges down the hill, and proceeded to chase him up to the top of the tree. And up and down the tree for a good half hour. She bit all the limbs off. They actually got in a scuffle at the top of the tree. I thought the black bear was going to fall out. It was by far our most highly viewed video on YouTube we've ever had. Last time I checked, it had 20 million views, I think.
Wow.
But it was an amazing week with the cameras in the mountains.
Yeah, that was just unreal. Jenna, have you ever hunted the eastern part of the United States, Kentucky, Illinois, any of that stuff?
I've hunted. I'm from Wisconsin, so I hunt Wisconsin every year. I go back. I've hunted Illinois for whitetail. I hunted far East Coast. One of the best hunts I ever went on. I went on a Maryland Sitka hunt which I hadn't even heard of until I went on the hunt. Free-range Sitka, they were released there at the turn of the century. They have flourished in the Phragmite grass that was released there as well. And that's a fantastic hunt. So I've hunted a little bit. I'm trying to think, have I hunted Kentucky? I might have hunted turkeys in Kentucky. I'm not sure, but it sounds like I need to get back there.
Yeah, you do.
Real quick, with your hunting, what do you see the big differences is hunting on the east side or eastern part of the United States compared to out west hunting like you do now?
It's definitely the amount of different species that you can hunt is the biggest difference. When you're talking about the Midwest or East Coast hunting, you're primarily talking about deer, bear, and turkeys, and bird hunting, of course. But when you come out to the western states, like here in Montana, some of the tags are a little bit harder to draw, but over-the-counter general tags, you can hunt elk, whitetail, mule deer. You can put in for antelope, moose, goat, sheep, mountain lion. Mountain lion is over-the-counter. Bear is over-the-counter in most areas.
Wolf.
So there's such a variety of big game species to hunt out west.
All right, great.
Jana Waller, skullboundtv.com. You can check out their podcast there. Jana, it's been an absolute pleasure. Unfortunately, this is live radio on the FM dial, and we only got so much time. We'd love to keep you on for an hour if we could. Would you come back and get on maybe one day we can get Jim on? That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for everything, Jana. It's such a huge honor to have you on tonight.
Yes, it is.
Oh, no problem. Is there a link I can post for you guys, or is it live and already done with?
No, we will post a podcast usually following the show, and I will have JD get that to you, and you can share that. We would really that would be awesome if you would do that. We would appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Jana.
Thanks for having me on, and let me know anytime. I'd be happy to hop on with you.
Oh,
guys,
we'll
no matter
definitely reach out again. We'd love to have you back on.
That'd be great. I appreciate it so much. And, yeah, send me that link, and I'll share it tonight.
You are the best. Fascinating lady right there, skullboundtv.com. Check out her podcast. Jana Waller coming up. Will Griffin, Big and J, nutrition, PhD, knows what he's doing. We've had him on before. Looking forward to having him on again. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors.
In stores now, Pabst Grippo's Beef Jerky. We have taken the great Pabst Beef Jerky and married it with the iconic Grippo's barbecue seasoning. This is a marriage made in beef jerky heaven. The thin cut of Pabst Beef Jerky is dusted to perfection with Grippo's seasoning. Once you try it, you will know no other beef jerky compares. So the next time you're headed on a road trip to the lake or your favorite golf course, be sure to have Pabst Beef Jerky fueling your outdoor lifestyle. PabstJerky.com. Ask for us at your local store.
Man, what happened to your truck? Well, got myself a prize 10-point buck, and well, you can see where it was laying. Nice bloodstain, dude. You should have seen Linex of Bowling Green for a spray-in liner.
For whatever you get into, trust Linex of Bowling Green with the largest auto aftermarket franchise in the nation. Pro installation of spray and bed liners, B&W gooseneck hitches, vent visors, bug shields, step bars, running boards, toolboxes, and WeatherTech floor mats. LineXofBowlingGreen.com. Stop by 3351 Louisville Road at the Porter Pike and Plum Spring intersection.
This is Nate from Rock Castle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rock Castle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rock Castle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
I am Southern Kentucky Great Outdoors. I am your Spirit of the Wild brother. God bless America. God bless Kentucky. God bless working hard, playing hard American families in the asset column. We are blood brothers.
Yeah, the news. That don't get old. On the Linex hotline, we're going to go straight to the doctor. Will Griffin, Big and J, long range attractants. Here we are. Thanks for being back on the Linex hotline. Will, thanks for coming back on, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, it's our pleasure, buddy. We appreciate y'all's sponsorship and love having you and Josh and everybody on. You know, it's great stuff. Josh Honeycutt in the studio, J.D. Williams ready to chit-chat a little bit about that awesome product you guys put out.
Well, it's definitely time to be getting it out, and especially with the kind of weather we've had in different places, it's a good year to be putting it to the test.
Good deal. So, there's a lot of people out there who feed minerals. So, we're just going to talk about the basics of it, talk about why deer, in fact, need it, and basically just the ins and outs of it. So tell us a little bit about deer digestion and how minerals play a role.
Okay. So basically what we've got is deer have a big fermentation vat for a belly that we have to get products from that fermentation vat to the lower tract so that they can get it into the proper places that they need. Ultimately, we would say that they have to be protected sources or bioavailable sources, basically to get them to the lower tract so that they can be absorbed in the muscle and go for cellular health or immune function and things like that. So it's a whole different system than the way you and I digest things.
Sure. What minerals are most important for whitetails, especially this time of year?
Really, I think about the big ones. The two biggest I would have in mind would be calcium and phosphorus, mainly because you've got does that are starting to milk, you've got horns or antlers that are starting to grow, and during that time we've got the biggest draw on calcium and phosphorus. And interestingly, most of what they have in the wild to consume doesn't carry a very high calcium and phosphorus content. So we definitely don't want to be short in that.
Yeah, and what Big and J products play into that?
Well, we would have Legit, which is our true mineral. Basically, that would have everything from calcium, phosphorus, zinc, manganese, cobalt. It would be a total package. We would also have the new product out there, Head Rush, which is a salt-based product, but it carries enough calcium to meet that animal's need, along with a trace mineral package as well. It would be zinc, manganese, cobalt, and copper.
You're talking about this year being a prime example of needing to put mineral out. How does dirt, soil, rainfall, how do those things play a role in mineral intake and mineral needs in whitetails?
Well, obviously, we get into certain areas, depending on where we are, where we see higher sodium contents in soil. So, if you're putting out salt-based attractants or things like that, they may not come to them as well because they're getting that need from the dirt. You get into the heartland where we've got some better, darker soil and things like that, and they're getting those elements from the dirt. But ultimately, it's going to be a little regionally specific. You brought up the idea of how we need to be doing with the conditions we've had this year. I think about it as a complete package. We've got areas that have been facing flood. We've got areas that have been facing drought. Typically I want to be throwing the total package at them in that case with some of our protein and energy products along with the mineral package. But for sure, this time of year in the spring, we need to be hitting mineral pretty hard. Cool.
So, a lot of people out there think that you just put mineral out there and then deer magically get bigger antlers, and there's a little bit more to it than that. It's not just about giving them mineral and then boom, they have bigger antlers. There's more things in play, such as their digestive system and maximizing the potential, which you and I talked about in a Realtree.com article here a few weeks ago. Tell us a little bit about that and the different ways that mineral actually help deer, which in turn helps them maximize antler growth.
Gotcha. So that's a great point, because the last thing I want to do is say we've got some magic powder that booms and you have 30 extra inches of antler growth. Really what we're trying to do is from a nutritional standpoint, is give that animal every ability to maximize its genetic potential. So if that animal only has the ability to grow, let's say 145 inches of antler because of his genetic potential, well, if we pull energy, protein, mineral away from him, some nutrient that he needs, we've ultimately limited that antler growth because of a nutritional gap. Ultimately, what I'm trying to do, or what we're trying to do, is fill that nutritional gap so that that animal can express its full genetic potential.
Cool. What are your best advice, best tips for putting out mineral right now during the summer for those who haven't already done so?
Ultimately, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find what I would look at our true mineral product if you haven't been doing anything before, because those animals are obviously going to have a bigger need. You're going to have more holes to fill. I'm going to be looking specifically at calcium and phosphorus, and I'm going to try to do that accordingly based on my deer density. I don't want my mineral site be limited. But as far as once I'm in the field, what I typically do is I look for heavily traveled areas, or better yet, I look for somewhere where I know they're coming in and drinking, because if they're drinking, or if there's water near them where they can drink, they're eating minerals. They're eating some salt content. They'll nibble at it a little bit. They'll go get a drink. They'll come back and nibble at it some more. So ultimately, I can try to get a bigger intake because of having some available drinking water right there.
What are some of your, other than mineral, when it comes to just a feed attractants that hunters can kind of mix into their feeding program or whatever you want to call it? What are some other, the top 2 or 3 products that you would recommend when it comes to improving the overall health of a deer this time of year?
Well, I to be honest, I really like the combination of having BB squared and by on the edge of a food plot with a mineral site, because ultimately I've got the total package there. I've got the food plot that they want, that they're coming to. I've got energy, digestible energy and protein coming in through the BB squared, and I filled the other holes with the mineral site there, like the legit product. Ultimately, what I'm looking at, or I guess what I would say, is that if I don't have energy and protein met in that animal, mineral is not going to be as valuable to me as it could be, because energy and protein would be the first limiting factor on my animal health, and then I want to fill the rest of that gap with a mineral product. And obviously, when it's green this time of year, the animals are out grazing a little more, they're browsing a little more, but I still want to have a good source of energy in front of them that's supplemental, and a good source of protein to meet those gaps as well.
So from a mineral and a salt standpoint, the 3 products to focus on is the legit, the head rush, and the meltdown, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Gosh, great stuff. You've blinded us with science. JD, you got one for the doctor?
No, man, I'm
Took it
my
all
mind's
in.
blown too.
He's taking it all in. Oh, Will, man, thank you so much. I mean, you guys were doing it looked like Jeopardy there for a minute. I was sucked in, man. That was great stuff. Tell all the guys we said hello. Are you you're a hunter yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I like
yes,
that.
Sir. I love to get out as much as anybody, and right now it's just kind of killing me because I haven't got to do my preseason prep like I normally do with in normal years, because we've been pretty flooded out in the area that I get to hunt. So getting back there to get sites set up and get inventory done, it's been a little tough this year.
Big and J long range attractants, nothing better as far as we're concerned, and I think that's the consensus nationwide at this point. And you guys do it better than anybody, and we just appreciate you guys being part of this show. I mean, it's an honor for us. I mean, we're here we are, just some hacks down here in South Central Kentucky, but we get to hang out with guys like you and Sergeant J.D. Williams, Josh Honeycutt, Real Tree, and Big and J, and it's great stuff, man. Great marriage, and we love having you on, Will. We'll get you back on again here maybe mid-season.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Same here, man. Great job, Will Griffin, man. What a great job. Hey, Josh, mailbag, buddy. We're going to get crazy with that from now on, because we're going to start having some giveaways with it. We're going to give you that email. We're going to shorten that email, but right now you can get to us, through Facebook as well on Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors. But you got some awesome giveaways from Real Tree that I kind of tried to steal one.
Anybody who submits a Real Tree mailbag question for us that we choose to use on the show will receive free Real Tree fishing gear. So make sure you submit those, and as Brian said, you can submit that via Messenger on Facebook, Instagram, or you can send it straight to the email ID, which is Southern Kentucky Great Outdoors at gmail.com. That's Southern KY Great Outdoors at gmail.com.
Great stuff. We got about a minute here to go. Rock Castle Gun Show coming up after us here at the top of the hour. JD, we got a minute. Can you give us just a good little quick U.S. Army battle story? I love them.
Ooh, it's a tough one.
Quick one. Your best shot. Your longest shot.
And now, battle stories with Sergeant J.D. Williams.
Back in 2010 in Afghanistan, we ended up taking over a mountain range. Basically, we hiked all the way up to the very tip top of this mountain, and we were watching the Argandov River to see if we can catch any bad guys like moving in and out. And we happened to have 18 days pass by and starting to go a little stir crazy up there. We were reenacting movies like Lion King and throwing each other off cliffs and stuff. We were losing it. And about day 18, we caught 3 enemy personnel moving into the Arghandab River to set up an IED. And so right off the bat, I ended up, I got on the first target, pulled the trigger. First guy went down. It was about a 700-yard shot.
Wow.
Well, then what was crazy about it is the guy that was with him, the other bad guy, there was 2 of them. They both took off running as fast as they could, and one of our guys ended up shooting his hand off, and that's how he died. And it was
blood out, huh?
So we were told after that, once we pulled the trigger, our mission's over. We're supposed to head back to base. They wanted us to stay there for 3 more days to see if any whoever came out to go get them, we knew they were suspects or whatever. And yeah, so we were up there for 21 days.
Well, you've satisfied the gore junkies out there. No need to go home and watch Band of Brothers.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan for me. Folks, we're going to get it on out of here. Josh Honeycutt, J.D. Williams, Jana Waller, Michael Penley, everybody tonight. Appreciate Will Griffin. And it was good stuff, Brad Bowles. We'll see you next Wednesday. SOKY's Great Outdoors.